do too sometimes. Well, it used to be in that corner. And
Yeah, I know.
moved it.
Yeah.
With 9,000 taps.
Call a meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, Mary.
Mrs. Brew.
Here.
Mr. Kramer.
Here.
Mr. Meneghini.
Here.
Mr. Oja.
Here.
Mr. Pop.
Here.
Move on to the approval of the agenda. And we do have one addition, right?
Actually, it's just a revision
Okay.
to, it's already on the agenda.
All right. Do I have a motion on the agenda?
I make a motion to approve the agenda. Support.
Mr. Kramer.
Yes.
Mr. Meneghini.
Yes.
Mr. Oja.
Yes.
Mr. Pop.
Yes.
Mrs. Brew.
Yes, we'll move on to the approval of the minutes. Regular meeting of March 18th, 2019. Special meeting of March 25th, 2019. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes of the regular meeting of March 18th, 2019, and the special meeting of March 25th, 2019.
Support.
Mr. Meneghini.
Yes.
Mr. Oja.
Yes.
Mr. Pop.
Yes.
Mrs. Brew.
Yes.
Mr. Kramer.
Yes.
We'll move on to the approval of the manifest 2019-08. Scott, did you have any questions?
Nothing for tonight?
Brett?
No, I did not.
Lee?
Yeah, I got a couple of questions here. Let's see. First page, under Administration Financial, second from the bottom, ARC GIS Desktop, top basic single-use,
Yeah,
whatever.
that's our annual maintenance.
Oh, that's an annual one? Okay.
Yeah, for the program.
I wasn't sure on that. And let's see. And then page 3, halfway down under communications, Adams Cable Equipment, a Motorola DCX refurbished for $1,100. What refurbished? I mean, it's
Refurbished is,
overhauled.
yeah, overhauled, rebuilt.
And what does this thing actually? What does it do? I mean, it says trunk line distribution. Is it just helping the system pushing?
I'd have to check it out.
Oh,
Piece of equipment for our cable.
That's it.
Jeremy?
No question.
Okay. The only one I had was one of 6, Department of Public Works. Let's see, Mark Zinzer, 2019 safety, mine safety. And it says 2 employees.
I assume that Mr. Zinzer must be the instructor or company, but mine safety is, anytime we have to put all of our DPW employees through mine safety. It's if they go into a gravel pit,
Okay.
they have to be trained.
So they all have it, just that 2 went this time?
2 went this time, yeah.
Okay. That was the only question I had. Do I have a motion on the manifest?
I'll make a motion we approve manifest 2019-08 in the amount of $210,537.09.
Support.
Mr. Oja.
Yes.
Mr. Pop.
Yes.
Mrs. Brew.
Yes.
Mr. Kramer.
Yes.
Mr. Meneghini.
Yes.
Anyone wishing to address the council on an agenda item may do so now. State your name and address for the record. We'll move on to communications. Resolution 2019-05. Mr. Anderson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This particular agenda item is basically, we continue on, or we have been continuing on with our redevelopment ready community program through the MEDC. In January, we received an update or evaluation, which I've included in your packet. I've also included I sat down and I went through and maybe gave it a little bit easier to read bullet point outline for the baseline report. You see there's a lot of different items that we're going to be working on over a 2 to 3 year period here. But it was a request from, once we get that baseline report, the MEDC wanted us to, or requested that we pass another resolution just reaffirming our commitment to working in the program. So that resolution is for you this evening.
Any questions?
Ray, would you care to explain as to what this is for? What section of road?
Well, actually, this particular program is a general program for any kind of grant that we might be using for community development block grant funds. So we've used them in the past for different programs. We've paved quite a few streets and done some utility work, through the program and in downtown. So.
Best case scenario, when are we talking to get this?
Well, this actually is not a specific grant. This is the program through the MEDC that makes us eligible for some of their grant programs that are coming up.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that resolution 2019-05 be approved.
Support.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Move on to Resolution 2019-06, MDOT Category B Grant Application.
Okay, this one is a specific grant that we're applying for that's due at the end of this week. Pretty simple grant application. I've given you the complete application in your packet. We are applying for Valley View Drive from Summit all the way through to Boundary Line. The total estimate for the project is $400,000. This is a 50% match, so we're looking at $200,000 of match. Engineering expenses are not qualifying under this, so they'll be above that, but based on this type of project, we're looking at engineering under 10%, of project cost. So in this particular project, we're going to look at a 2020 construction. There were two options. One was 19 and one was 20. The problem with 19 is that the earliest that we would, based on the MDOT schedule of bidding, they have a very rigid, specific schedule on bidding. The earliest we would be able to break ground would be in September, and we have not had real warm, fuzzy, feelings about projects that get paved, especially in October. So I think we're better off to go into 2020. We'll bid the project in the winter. If we're awarded this year, get the award this year, we'll be able to bid the project in the winter and kick it off as soon as construction season starts in 2020. So.
If these were to come out sooner, would we consider breaking ground sooner then?
But they have a very specific award, that they've got it lined out. You have to choose between 19 and 20. And I think the projects that are going to be chosen for 19, they're all going to go in September because they have a bid let schedule. MDOT has a very rigid letting schedule. And I don't think the projects in 19 are going to be overly large, because you're going to have to squeeze in, that construction in September and October. Okay. So.
There's no question that road is falling apart and it needs it.
Yes.
We're going to have to come up with a little over $200,000.
Yes, yes, and part of the commitment in a resolution is, or it's a commitment that we do have the money. When we would discuss that a few weeks ago, that the major street fund, basically that's what we're going to target, for that money that's available in the major street fund. So.
Well, hopefully we get the grant. That will help us out tremendously.
Yeah, and our local, our major and local streets outside of certain specific roadways that qualify under federal or state programs like federal aid. We talked about that. The earliest we can get monies through the federal aid is 2021, but there's only a specific number of streets like Main Street up the hill, Kimberly Road, there's a couple of streets that designated. Outside of that, we're scratching to look for our funding, and most of our funding is going to have to, come locally. But when grant opportunities like this come about, I think we have to go after it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that resolution 2019-06 be approved.
Support.
Mrs. Brew,
Yes?
Mr. Kramer,
Yes.
Mr. Menegini,
Yes.
Mr. Oja,
Yes.
Mr. Pop.
Yes.
Move on to approval MDEQ scrap tire cleanup grant agreement for 2019.
This is a program that we were awarded last year in 2018. So the DEQ was our first year, and I think it was a very successful program. We had $2,000 of grant for getting rid of scrap tires. And we applied again this fall, winter, to the DEQ for 19, and we were again awarded, this time we're awarded $4,000. Again, we're going to be partnering with Iron Mountain Kingsford, Brighton Township, Norway Township, Waseda Township, and we're going to be, the drop-off location will be the same. It'll be at the solid waste transfer station in Quinnipiac. We don't have the dates for startup. That's something that the solid waste authority will have to decide when everybody gets their paperwork together and plans. But it'll be the same as how we had it last year, where we'll have the dumpster and you go in and sign in and tell them, give your address and some documentation, and they'll keep track for us up to the $4,000. We have a grant agreement, which is attached, and for your approval.
Not that it makes a difference, Ray, but what did the other communities get for this? Do you know offhand?
4,000 was pretty much the
bonus.
same, yeah.
Just curious.
I believe Kingsford asked for some additional funds that they have, and I can't remember exactly the amount that they were awarded.
Any other questions? If not, I need a motion.
I'll make a motion that the scrap tire cleanup grant agreement for FY 2018-19 be approved.
Support.
Mr. Kramer,
Yes.
Mr. Menegini,
Yes.
Mr. Oja,
Yes.
Mr. Pop.
Yes.
Mrs. Brew.
Yes. Approval electric department equipment purchase request trailer.
Okay, we got a request from Foreman Tim Brew asking council consideration to purchase a trailer. This trailer is it's not on a lot. It takes, they say 50 days in order to build and ship the trailer. The trailer is going to be used for our trencher that we're going to be purchasing this year. Our current trencher is obsolete and inadequate, and we have quite a bit of work coming up over the next few years with our line crew. We can do quite a bit of line work. So this is a year we've programmed for the trencher, but Mr. Brew would like to get this on order so that we can move forward. I don't believe that this particular, we're not going to see this until after July 1st. So there's a good chance. We've got it in this budget, but we're going to have it in next budget as well. So from a budgeted standpoint, it's well within the budget.
It was in last year's budget, anyway.
Yeah, it was in last year's, but if not, if we see how it delivers, it might be in next year's.
Whenever it's invoiced or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's rules and regs on the depth of this, but how deep will this digger go?
I believe he's talking about, what's he say, about 3 feet? 3 feet, yeah.
Any other questions? Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that Ditch Witch Midwest be approved for the purchase of an equipment trailer for a price not to exceed $11,396. Support.
Mr. Menegini,
Yes.
Mr. Oja,
Yes.
Mr. Pop.
Yes.
Mrs. Brew,
Yes?
Mr. Kramer.
Yes.
Move on to approval, city facility LED lighting project.
On this particular project, we've been picking away at our LED lights in our facilities. Again, we're packaging some incentive monies. You can see that the gross project it's going to be under 4,000, but I rounded it up just in case. It's right around $4,000 for the costs, and mainly costs of material, bulbs. Guys put it in. Electric shop, DPW, fire hall, throughout our various facilities. In this project, we get energy efficiency incentive of $1,081. WPPI has efficiency incentive of $472, and then we also have a CNI incentive from WPPI for the remainder, $2447, probably slightly under that, but it's a net zero for the city. So I just want to get council approval for the purchasing of those bulbs.
After we put all these bulbs in, because we've been doing this, have we seen the difference in the bills?
I think so, Mary. I mean, we've seen energy usage down quite a bit.
We were tracking it for a while after that first project. No, we really haven't, but we did notice a decrease.
Yeah, it decreases the energy usage.
I know in my house, I've gone with LEDs on everything, and I'm way down.
Any other questions? If not, I need a motion.
I'll make a motion that the electric department be approved to purchase LED bulbs for a price not to exceed $4,000.
Support.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Menagini?
Yes.
Move on to the approval Boy Scout Troop number 532 request for Marion Park.
We had a really nice meeting at our Parks and Rec meeting this last week, where Boy Scout Troop 532 came in and provided us with a proposal to, basically we have the cabins out at Marion Park, and we've had a long-standing relationship with the Boy Scouts. They utilize the main cabin, and we have a couple other storage-type cabins. One in particular is in a very bad state of disrepair. In fact, it needs to come down. And so the proposal from the troop was to take it down and reuse the wood in order to refurbish the main cabin. So I believe we have someone. Are you here from the Boy Scouts? Oh, no, okay. They gave us a letter showing that request. So it was a very nice meeting. The Parks and Rec Committee did pass a unanimous motion of support to pass on to the council, and we'd like to just give them blessing to work on that this spring and summer.
Do we have any liability with having Boy Scouts do demolition of a structure on city property?
We can put a rider. I haven't had a chance to talk to Tricia about getting with our insurance company. I'm sure we could work something out to make sure that that's covered. This particular, it's a service project for the Boy Scouts. They're going to get merit badges, and so we'll work out whatever.
Well, I understand it's a good project, but I got concerns with having Boy Scouts do demolition of a structure.
Yeah, they'll have the adult supervision, and we'll have the insurance riders. I'm sure we'll have to have something in place. And the Boy Scouts will have to give us their insurance liability. They have that. So.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that Boy Scout Troop 532 be approved to demolish the dilapidated storage cabin at Marion Park with the intent to reuse as much material as possible to help restore the main cabin.
Support.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
I got the same concern as Jeremy with the insurance, so I will vote yes, but I know it's not in the motion, but with adequate insurance. So yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Menagini?
Yes.
Mr. Oja?
No. Just because it's not in, we don't have the information yet. I'm fine with the project, but it, like you said, it's if we had the information, I would vote yes, but without it, not this time.
Okay. Anyone wishing to address the council on any item of interest shall do so now at the podium. State your name, address for the record. Comments shall be limited to 3 minutes per person. Nobody? We'll move on to council comments. Scott?
I have one thing I'd like to bring up. Looking at the memo, looking at our credit card monthly fees. Lee. I'm looking at, we're paying $4,900 in fees for your charges or whatever, and we're only collecting $3,100. I think we gotta do something with this percentage that we charge. We only charge 1.5% as it is. I'd like to see us, I don't wanna continue paying, this is $1,700 a month approximately, whatever, that the city's paying on this, and I'd like to see, you know, I don't wanna make money on it, but break even. Kind of the same thing we did with the cable, you know? The city shouldn't have to go for paying and covering everything. So sometime I'd like to discuss this.
Our resolution, our rate resolution is where we cover the percentage at 1.5%. We can just do a revision to the rate resolution if you wanted to increase it to 2%. Mary put those numbers together on Lee's request, and I think when we chose the 1.5%, we weren't quite sure. You know, we didn't want to make money on it, go to 2% and make money on it. I think we're just right at 2%, 2 point
Yeah.
something. So I think you're pretty safe at 2% to cover the
I'd like
remainder.
to see us at least even.
So would you like that on the next council meeting?
Yes, please.
And when we went to the 1.5, we actually were closer to breaking even. It's been, I'm guessing some of the companies are increasing their fees to us.
Yeah,
So-
well, I know a lot of the companies around here now are charging that extra 3% on if you use a credit card or something like that, just to cover the fees. So I'd like to see on that, on the next agenda, please.
We can do that, it's just,
That's it.
Brett?
The hydro operation, how's that going on Unit 4?
yeah, the Unit 4 is in operation and working. We have all 4 units running and producing. We have about a 5,000 river, so we are spilling some, but we're maxing our production. So that's, it's been a good runoff so far, knock on wood. But we did get word that north of us, there's anywhere from 11 to 14 inches of water. The snowpack went down, but it didn't melt. And what it did was compressed. And that compression cause is the equivalent of about 11 to 14 inches of water. So we are, days like today, I know people grumbling about seeing little snowflakes, but we're actually happy, you know, because you want this slow runoff. I had a conversation this afternoon with our contractor who's ready to come in on Unit 1. I think it was pretty much agreed that we just don't know with that kind of snowpack. We can't put them in the pit. Obviously, we really need to have all 4 units running past the water. We think it's going to come. So what we did was we agreed to touch base on the 22nd of April with a plan of a May 6th start, and we'll reconvene at that point. It gives us about 3 weeks or so to see what kind of a runoff we're looking at. And if we can start in May, we'll start in May, but we definitely don't want to, you know, put anybody down there if we've got an extremely high river.
And one other question is, US 2, US 8, I should have asked it earlier, did we receive reimbursement from the state on snow removal from them roads?
We are getting reimbursements. We have one reimbursement coming. We haven't put in yet for the main when we went through and did all the snowbanks. But, I mean, you saw the letter that came in and a couple of bills that came in. We're going to submit those. We won't get those submitted until this week, though. I think she submits the end of this week or first thing next week.
It'd probably be this week,
This week.
just because at the end of March, we'll submit through the end of March. He likes them monthly.
Yeah, so ask that question in a couple weeks, 2-3 weeks. I'll find out when we get the money back.
All right, nothing further.
Lee?
Brett answered, I want to ask one of my questions about the hydro. Frozen water lines, how are we doing on that, Ray? Have we had any major issues this winter? I know we had one leak, for
We had
sure.
one break we just fixed this past week. Came through pretty well, but the thing is that even though the surface is, you see the snow leaving, the frost is still down.
Yeah,
In
we're
fact,
not-
it can even get pounded down a little bit more, so we've seen breaks all the way into May. But, you know, we really haven't, knock on wood, we haven't
That's
had a bad winter for breaks, that's for sure.
Okay, one more item, last but not least here. The packets are available for anybody that wants to run for city council in November. There'll be 3 openings. Anyone who is interested can pick up the paperwork from City Clerk Mrs. Plant. It must be returned by April 23rd at 4 PM, and I hope a lot of people pull the applications.
Jeremy?
That's all.
Nothing.
Pretty much the questions I had, you already answered. One question on the freezing, do you think of the pipes, do you think because we redid the lines and the roads and that saved us on pipes not freezing too?
Yeah, I think our project helps, you know, with not only in some areas improved depths, but improved material, improved structural, you know, around, so, you know, I think we've addressed a few of our trouble spots, definitely. But, you know, we get some spots that are in pretty good shape and they still might freeze.
Right.
So, it just depends on, you know, depends on the specifics of the winter.
Okay. And then I also wanted to let people know that, you know, we are out there, I mean, you heard it here tonight, we are out there trying to get grant money to work on some of the roads. So, we're doing the best we can, and hopefully we'll get some of these grants and be able to come up with the portions that we have to come up with to hopefully get some roads fixed up. Mr. Anderson?
This might not be real popular in Norway, but I want to congratulate Iron Mountain for what a heck of a run. You know, it's, once you get below the bridge, you know, we pull for fellow Yoopers, but they did one heck of a job this year, and so I want to congratulate the boys. Really had a nice season. Also, go green.
I'm just going to say, don't forget Michigan State.
Mary, anything? No? I need a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Support?
Mrs. Brew,
Yes?
Mr. Kramer,
Yes.
Mr. Menagini,
Yes.
Mr. Oja,
Yes.
Mr. Pop.
Yes.
Meeting adjourned.
And Calumet.
Calumet.
I actually